Um, I first visited Forest Haven Asylum summer of 2019. It was August. It was really hot and sticky outside. When I first went in there, I think I've been there about 7 times now. First time I went there, I was very ill prepared. I didn't have any proper masks or equipment to go in because the building was originally made in 1925. So there's asbestos in the walls. You don't really want that in your lungs. I had a bandana tied around my head, and I walked around the entire facility with that over my face. Kind of hard to breathe, but better than getting dust and gross stuff in you. I find it very interesting, and it's kind of why I keep going back, because the building itself left behind so many documents of so many patients who were shuttled in and out of the hospital and in and out of like the rehabilitation center, and you can just pick them up and read them just because they're sitting there. Another thing that I find it both interesting in a very like morbid way, but also in like a genuine remembrance of the people who suffered there. But most of the patients admitted there were children, and a lot of the time they weren't even that like mentally disturbed or anything. There were people in there who were treated for like dyslexia, but their time being there, you know, over the course of a long period of time made them worse mentally. There was one case where an orphanage ran out of space for children, so instead of shuttling them off to another orphanage, they ended up putting them at the asylum and marking them down as like mentally deficient just so they would have a space to put them in. And it's pretty messed up, so needless to say, it closed down in 1991. But that's still like, it took, I think around like the 70s and 60s, there were reports and cases of people complaining about the malpractice there. And it took them like 30 years to finally close the place down. So, yeah, that's one place in Forest Haven Asylum. How long was that?
Action.
I feel like it's not really a funny story, but I guess it's interesting. I don't know if I should really like talk about it, but anyway, you know how in like 3rd and 4th grade, people are all crazed about like ghost stories and stuff like that. Well, when I was younger, somebody told me the story of the China doll or whatever, and essentially, it's where like this person gets a China doll as a present, and the people in the story, in spite of the warnings that tell you, you should lock it up at night, I would think that would be suspicious, right? But, anyway, they buy the China doll anyway and give it to, like, the grandmother or something, gives it to the granddaughter, and she keeps it, and she plays with it or whatever, and one day she forgets to lock it up at night, and she leaves it on the stairs, and it goes on, and, she's upstairs asleep in bed, because it's nighttime or whatever, and the China doll goes up 1 step, 2 step, whatever. And she goes like all the way up to the stairs and like goes down the hall and like creeps into the room. I'm not like telling you with like the full suspense or anything. But essentially that's what happens. And then she comes, or like the China doll comes into the room and like hovers over the little girl while she's sleeping. And the little girl like has her like arms out of the blanket or whatever, and the China doll chops all of her fingers off and then kills her. And so, as a little girl, I was really afraid to sleep with my limbs outside of the blanket. So like I would always go under the thing because I didn't want to get my fingers chopped. Yeah, that's my story.
So I had this dog once. His name was Frank. One day, it ran outside and it got hit by a car. And it was the worst day of my life. But I did some research and I learned how to revive it. So I brought it up to the attic and carved out a hole in the roof. I got a little tray so I could lift them up. And I waited for a thunderstorm. And one night when the lightning was really severe, I lifted them up there and there was a loud crash. And I brought it back down and it didn't work. It was still there.